Hi there, today I thought I'd jump on and have a little bit of a chat about the spiritual aspects of eating meat. So if you've not been to my channel before, my name is Sue. I've been on the carnivore diet now for 18 months and I've been doing videos about my journey and what I'm learning and my health and weight loss and all the rest of it. But this is something that's just a little bit kind of left of field and a fairly hot topic in some circles. So I first started eating a vegan diet when I was 35. So that's like 25 years ago. And in that time, I kind of came across information about the spiritual side of eating meat. Now, I didn't have really strong spiritual beliefs as such back then, but I had kind of an interest, and gradually over the years, I kind of adopted this belief that when you eat meat, because I'd heard other people say this, of course, when you eat meat, you absorb the energy of the animal at the time of its death. So any fear, suffering, that sort of thing is being absorbed into your body because we are what we eat, right? So I kind of had this belief kind of floating around in the back of my consciousness somewhere. Now, when I started eating meat again, because I was vegan for a couple of years and then I was vegetarian for over a decade, so before going vegan and then after again. And so when I started eating meat again, that was about 16 or 17 years ago now, I think. Time actually really flies, because I didn't think it was that long until I actually started thinking about it. But when I started eating meat again, it was seriously like changing religion for me. It was something that I really struggled with. But I was having trouble with different aspects of my health, even back then, and trying to resolve what I kind of knew was underactive thyroid issues and that sort of thing. And so I had come across the Eat for Your Blood Type book again, because I'd come across it before. And I remember that I actually had a copy of that book, and when I went looking, I actually had 2 copies. So I'd obviously bought them at different times. And then because I'm an O blood type and was so heavily focused on a plant-based diet, I've kind of thrown them over my left shoulder and put them away and forgotten about them. And so when I reread that, I was kind of like, okay, so I'm going to start eating meat again. So I made the decision, and as I said, it was a really tough decision. But once I started eating meat again, I honestly, for quite a while, probably a year or so, it was like I couldn't get enough of the stuff. And I remember back then that it had quite profound effects on my health. So at the time, I had been trying to kind of regain my health and fitness again. I had just make it brief, I had quit smoking when I was 30, started again when I was 37, was back on the fags for 4 years, gained some weight, slowed down on the exercise then, had quit, and I was at that stage of trying to get some health and fitness back again. And I was doing some small triathlons here. We were living here in New Zealand, in Te Araha where we are now, and I was walking, swimming and cycling. All right, so I wasn't running because I'd never, even over the years when had been really fit prior, I'd never kind of felt like I could run. Even as a kid, I didn't feel like I could run. My legs, I've had problems with them off and on, with the muscles, just feeling kind of weak and tired, and that's what they were like when I was a child. And even as an adult, once I started, getting back into, I was doing for quite a long time, 4 or 5 hours of exercise a day, and I was doing aerobics and walking and riding my push bike and everything, but running just always didn't quite feel right. But then when I started eating meat again, I found that I could run. So the last lots of triathlons I did over the last 12 months that we were in New Zealand, I was actually running, and I carried on running for about 8 years all up. And, I would get up and I'd run in the morning. When we were living here, I'd run a few days a week, anywhere between 5 and 8 kilometres. And then when we were in Australia, I would run down on the footpath by the beach in Harvey Bay. And when we were on the Gold Coast, just around where we lived. So the running kind of became part of my life until I got to the point where I just couldn't do it. I started to find that it really, really wore me out, and my health was starting to kind of get a bit bad again at that stage, and so I actually stopped running, and that was when I was probably in my late 40s. So yeah, so anyway, so the meat, when I started back on it, had some fairly profound benefits for me that I was really aware of and that I felt. But in between, like from that time, I still had a lot of times where I went back to eating a vegan diet, because my whole paradigm was based around plants being the healthy option, meat being not so healthy, like a lot of people, because that's what we've been led to believe. And there was also that spiritual aspect of eating meat that was kind of niggling in the back of my mind. Now, for me to go onto a carnivore diet 18 months ago was quite a big shift in mindset. I mean, initially I thought I'd give it 30 days and see how it went, and then the changes in my health were so kind of immediate and so profound, things that I did not expect to change, especially that quickly. That's why I carried on. And so here I am 18 months later, and I've had quite a lot of shifts in my health. I'm still a work in progress, definitely, and still trying to sort out my gut health. But there's been some really weird and amazing things that have happened since I've been on the carnivore diet. So that when I started eating, I mean, when I first went on to carnivore, the first probably 6 to 8 weeks, I was animal foods only, took everything else out of my diet, all my supplements, all my everything. And so that shift in my mindset, that shift that was needed in my mindset, I guess, was something that was fairly real for me. And so I started to, like, I was thinking about this, about the whole taking on the energy of the animal. So now my belief has kind of shifted, and my belief is now that we do take on the energy of that animal, but not at the time of its death, of the animal. And this is partly because of what I've felt in myself, the changes that I've felt in myself over the last 18 months, and that is that I'm stronger physically, even without doing really any exercise. I am more kind of grounded and stable, and I feel kind of more connected to nature and the earth, if that makes sense. And so I believe that we do take on the essence of these amazing animals that we are consuming. Now, as I said earlier on, I mean, the whole thing about you are what you eat is very real and very obvious when you look around our society now, especially in these Western countries. If you think about the energy or the lack of energy that's in processed foods, the consumption of those has really detrimental effects on people's health, their physical health, their emotional and their spiritual health. And that is partly because the foods aren't food, they're dead, and they're full of chemicals and full of things that our bodies don't know how to process. But I also believe that there's also the energy of the intention behind those foods. So intention is everything, and the companies that are making those foods are not making them for people's health. Whatever their intentions are, it's not about making us bigger and stronger and healthier and more robust. It's about making money. It's potentially about making people sick, depending on the company, because I believe that there are companies out there that are aligned with, other industries that profit from people being sick. And so, I mean, whether that's the case or not, the intention is not the health of their consumers. And so that energy is in those processed foods as well. The other part, with our health, I mean, my shift in mindset, I'm sure there are people out there that are going to go, oh, you just changed your belief to suit yourself. And that's fine, because whether that's true or not, that's the way that I feel, and that's what I choose to believe. And our beliefs around what we eat is massive as well, because our minds are really powerful, and our minds are extremely connected to our bodies and every cell in our body. And so what we're thinking about, what we're eating, and our beliefs about what we're eating are affecting the way that that food affects our bodies. And our words also, you know, I mean, you hear people all the time going, oh, I eat, you know, I shouldn't be eating this because it's junk food, and I shouldn't be eating this, it's so unhealthy, but I can't help it, you know. And so when they're verbalizing that, that's having an effect on the way that what they're eating is affecting their body as well. So my beliefs now about us absorbing the essence of the animal, you know, when I look at these amazing animals, I mean, I know in some countries where there's intensive farming and factory farming, animals are treated badly, and that needs to change and that needs to stop. There's not a whole lot of that here in New Zealand. Our cows and our sheep live out in the sunshine eating grass, and most farmers actually really love their animals and look after them. And so, you know, the animals live a fairly ideal existence. And like, I mean, I get meat from my son who grows his own cows, and, you know, when I look at those cows at his place, and they just, you know, you look into their eyes and they're just so in the now, connected to source, the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, to be consuming them and taking on that essence of their being into my body is just amazing, and I know is incredibly beneficial for my body and my health. The other thing is, you know, like the whole energy aspect of food. So as I said, when you're eating meat, I mean, meat is heavy, grounded, solid strength, you know, you're eating muscle, and so there's that energetic component of that that's having the effect on your body and your cells, whereas plants are a whole different energy. So they're the way that I look at it is they're kind of lighter, more easily moved, more easily swayed, more, you know, you get a bit of a breeze and they're all over the place. And you kind of see that with people who are eating a vegan diet. So a lot of people who are eating vegan diets seem to be very kind of flighty and all over the place. And that is obviously partially sometimes down to nutritional deficiencies and things, but I think it's the energetic component as well. So you see, like, I mean, especially online, there's a lot of people who are quite aggressive and angry and like emotionally charged. I think that that's part of that whole too light, too floaty, vibrational kind of energy that's going into their body, and there's nothing solid and grounded that's going in there, if that makes sense. So perfect example of this was the interview recently and debate between Dr. Anthony Chaffee and Dr. Nagra. So Dr. Nagra is a vegan doctor, and when I watched that video, and a lot of people said the same thing, you could see the difference between the two of them. Dr. Chaffee was really calm and grounded and thoughtful and, you know, just very steady, whereas Dr. Nagra was really aggressive and agitated and fidgety and really desperate to get his point across. And, you know, so it was an interesting thing to watch, because it was so opposite in their whole being and their whole energy, and that was really obvious to pretty much everyone who watched that debate. So I think that, you know, like, I mean, where I'm at the moment with my diet personally is that I'm still probably eating at least 95% or more meat and animal products, but I have reintroduced just a little bit of stuff because I'm trying to sort my gut health out, and I'm working on my microbiome. So I'm eating a little bit of fermented veg, and I'm eating some prebiotic fibers and some berries, which I had been eating anyway for quite a while. So it's just a little bit of something, and I'm getting the improvement so far that I want, which is quite exciting for me. And so I don't know whether that'll be a forever thing or whether it'll be temporary, but I see other people, I mean, some people do really, really well on just meat and just animal products, and then some people just feel like they need a little bit of plant material, even if it's only, you know, some herbs and spices, a little bit of fermented veg, whatever. And I think that comes down to differences in us, in our health from where we started, but also in our energetic side of our body. So in my work, I know that balance is everything, and when we're out of balance, that's when we have health issues and pain and that sort of thing. Now, in, for example, Chinese medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, they look at the same, that side of things as well. So in Ayurvedic medicine, they describe people as being predominantly kapha or vata or pitta. And so kapha is the heavy, solid, grounded earth kind of energy, which is me. I'm very much that way. Pitta is the hot, fiery energy, and then vata is that kind of breezy, windy, all over the place energy. And so my thoughts are that maybe it depends, that there's something that depends there on your body type and what it requires to get things in balance. And especially when you're starting out, that maybe that's why that little bit of plant material makes a difference. And eventually, once things are more in balance, that might change. So the energy side of things, I think, is pretty huge with our diet and what we actually require. And it may be a part of why there are the differences between us and how we actually respond to this way of eating when we're trying to get resolution for health issues. So yeah, so I hope this is clear, and I hope it's understandable. Basically, what I'm saying is that my belief is that meat provides for us the energetic value of the animals that we're consuming. And the whole thing about killing animals and everything, I mean, that was a biggie for me too over the years, and something that I really struggled with. But I'm now aware that for anything to survive, something else has to die, whether it's plants, whether it's animals, whether it's fish. Everything eats something. And the farming and the slaughtering of animals is probably most of the time way more kind, especially in the death process, than being taken down by a lion or a pack of hyenas. It's the quick way that it's done in the slaughterhouse is much more probably humane than being chased down and ripped to pieces. So yeah, it's just the way that it is. It's nature. There is no death. I mean, my belief is that there is no death, and so everything dies, goes back to feed something else, and that's just the way that nature works, and the universe, God, source, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, so that's my little discussion today. I'd love to know what you think. Leave comments or questions below, and I'll get to them as soon as I can. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe and like and share with anyone that you think might be interested. I thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you again another day. Bye bye for now.